What's up, everyone? And wow, that escalated quickly. That I didn't expect that. Normally, it is, and I know, forgive me for being honest with it, but it's the left that are the violent ones, and it's the Trump supporters that sit back and work within the bounds of the law, and they get frustrated. So I guess it kind of fits that they would finally have enough and kind of lose it when they see that what they wish is slipping. And quite honestly, this is one of those situations where history is written by the victors. Whether they're right or wrong depends on what side of the fence you sit on. People like me who can look over both sides of the fence are quite rare. But I said many videos ago, if you'll remember, that the Supreme Court needed to hear these cases that they didn't want to hear. They needed to hear them. That was the only way that we are going to be able to put to bed any questions. But as usual, they passed the buck because no one wanted to set precedents. Nobody wanted to stand behind the bench and have the backbone to say, no, there are questions. That's all. I'm not saying that there is fraud. I'm not saying that anything nefarious actually happened. What I'm saying is there is an appearance of things that don't seem right. Hiding a USB doesn't seem right. Counting votes when people were supposed to be there to oversee the votes being counted weren't there doesn't seem right. They're only questions. And because the Supreme Court didn't hear them, now they're martyr questions, basically. They are questions that went unanswered that people now have a furious right to have an answer to. I can see both sides of the fence. One woman is shot dead. Congress has been evacuated. The National Guard was activated as pro-Trump rioters stormed the Capitol. Quite a bunch of violent scenes. Can't really show those here on YouTube because they'll bomb the video. They already watched me pretty closely. But a woman has been killed after a shooting. The votes are being returned back to Washington. There we go. All the votes are being returned back to the Senate chamber. It's where they had actually made it into. This kind of came out of left field. I didn't expect the Trump supporters to actually be violent. The Capitol is secured right now, though. And the interesting thing is this. Depending on what side of the fence you sit on, Trump either incited it and didn't do anything, or, hey, Trump told them to go home. He said, hey, we love you, get out of here, but you got to go home. But where are we at? We're a nation divided. We're a nation where half of the nation is looking for answers because they were denied the answers. And then you have another half saying to the other half that is questioning, shut up, don't you dare ask these questions, you are a racist, you are a sexist, you are a homophobic if you just ask the questions. If you say, wait, there are things that are weird, and if it were reversed and Joe Biden had votes that were counted when people were supposed to be there to be able to count them, I would be calling the same thing. I would say, wait, there are questions, that's all, just questions. But because the justice system chose not to be the justice system and didn't hear these questions became martyrs, political martyrs. These questions now, even if they are answered, will forever be a rallying cry for a far right person somewhere, somehow, or even a far left person. Because don't kid yourself. What's a rallying cry for the right is a rallying cry for the left. Because if the right uses it as a rallying cry, the left will use it as a dog whistle, and they'll use it as a anti-rally cry. I mean, it's just, we should have had these questions answered, Supreme Court. I blame the Supreme Court. The ball was in their court. They should have taken it and run it. They should have at least heard the arguments. They could have prevented all of this. Just needed the questions answered. If the questions had been answered, then the left could have stood up and said, hey, right, you guys thought this, well, here's your answer. It was investigated at the highest court of the land. Now shut your mouth and go home. And the right could have said, well, hey, we don't agree with it, but we had our moment in court. But we will never know if it made things better or not. I think it probably would have. But because nobody has any answers now, well, you mix that with people being cooped up and being locked down, you've got a bit of a powder cake. Does that mean we're going into a hot revolution? No, I don't think we're going into a hot revolution. Are we going into a political revolution? You're darn right we're going into a political revolution. This doesn't die here. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Will it die eventually? Probably. There will be some fringe elements, I'm sure. Just as there are fringe elements on the left. Don't kid yourself. Everything one person is capable, we are all capable of doing. And same goes politically. Can we unify the country? I don't know. Perhaps if more of the country was informed voters, if they cared more than just the headlines. Because if you ran to these headlines and you ran to this headline, you would run to your buddies and you would say Trump was inciting the mob. And your buddies would say, wow, okay, and they would run with it. Then if you go with these ones over here, you'd get the idea that, hey, you know what? Trump told them to go home. He didn't ask for them to go there and riot. He asked for their support. Yes, more of a visual, a showcase. That's what Trump is. He's a showman. Trump is a showman. And he told them, we love you and go home. So he didn't tell them he wanted them to riot. In fact, he told them, go home. We don't want you to riot. So depending on your political leanings, if you don't sit on the fence and look at both sides of the fence, then... When I say sit on the fence, I don't mean just, not have a decision. I'm just saying be able to look at both sides and say, hey, who's right? But anymore nowadays, sitting on the fence is almost quite politically literal. I don't want to step my feet on either side of the fence because both the yards are pretty messed up. So I'll teeter-totter on the fence and be like, I don't like either y'all. Both y'all are pretty messed up. And neither of you wants to clean your backyard. So I'll sit here on the fence with my other fence sitters and be like, I'm politically homeless. I'll go sleep in the alleyway. It's probably cleaner anyways. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe. Help me out with this YouTube battle I'm in. And, yeah. YouTube, that's a whole nother story. You guys take care.